as far as like the weekly paperwork and reporting and stuff, while it's not something I would normally do, it's something I had done. So I had been poking around in the back end of Shopify for some other reason, and I had seen that everything was different, and I couldn't make heads or tails of it. And I thought, wow, this is so weird. I don't remember it looking like this at all. So either I've completely forgotten how to do this, which is possible, it's been a few months, or it changed at some point. And like Patrick's never brought it up, so he must have figured out how to make sense of this. So I didn't even bring it up with you because it was like, well, you know what you're doing. And then it was like, oh no, they just did this. I was the first one to find it.
In the Midwest, you know the best is there waiting. So come and join the conversation. Highs the approved, fan and artist and creator too. This is how the challengers do. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. It gets hard, then it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
W. Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Dal.
Dal. Dal.
W. Dal Bush.
Well, ho, and, if I may, ho.
Happy holidays, Patrick.
Happy holidays, Dal. Welcome to what is basically, just because of the way it falls on the calendar, the Christmas episode of Contests of Challengers.
It sort of is, yeah.
There's nothing particularly Christmas about it. I mean, I am wearing a full Santa suit, but that's just what I wear when we record all year long.
Yeah, and I mean, in fairness, I am wearing a complete reindeer costume, but
just for what you're doing afterwards?
It's just warm. I mean, it's a cold time of year. And sometimes it's like, I guess, reindeer costume. Like, you could wear like a big heavy coat or whatever, but I feel like this is a lateral move.
How do the antlers keep you warm?
Look, I'm not here to answer questions about my reindeer costume, okay, Patrick? We're here to talk about comics and the business of comics.
I am not going to join in any of your reindeer games. Thank you.
So it's officially the Christmas season.
Is it?
Never more so than when you look on the calendar, because, yeah, I haven't really felt it a lot at the store the last few days. And now I'm going to caution that as I'm recording this, it is a little bit, it's like 6 days before Christmas. And I will be working the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th at the store. So I hope to be exhausted from the amount of last minute Christmas shopping people are doing.
Oh, I thought it was just from the amount of eggnog you'll be drinking.
I don't drink eggnog. Hot chocolate. I
know it's not
my hot chocolate for the year, though. I'm good.
It's not real eggnog. It's just you drink a bunch of raw eggs and then follow it with a glass of heavy cream.
One decent but not super warm hot chocolate. Actually, no. So I had one really good warm hot chocolate out in the cold. Then I had one not super warm.
Which is, I assume, the most expensive.
Probably. Not super warm, but decent hot chocolate. And then I had today a really warm but not good hot chocolate because they use too much dark chocolate.
The most authentic hot chocolate.
Milk chocolate, not dark chocolate. It was too bitter.
I'm sorry. It was a classic hot chocolate. That's what it was called.
I did say classic, but I said it in a really snarky, sarcastic way. Classic.
I don't know why, but I, of course, was with Dal when he had his hot chocolate, and I had one of my own. I had mine with oat milk.
Okay.
And Dal had his with whatever they make it with.
She didn't even ask me, so I assume it was dairy milk. I didn't request anything, and she didn't offer anything, so I just was like,
But my cup had a bunch of extra holiday cheer on it.
Yeah,
yours said classic.
A little Santa cat.
Mine said oat milk, and then it said Happy Holidays, handwritten, and then a little cat with like a Santa hat.
Patrick tipped, and I would have tipped had there been a little prompt on the payment device, but there wasn't, and there wasn't a jar or anything. But Patrick, the kind person that he is, pressed on the matter.
I said, "Do you have a tip jar?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Can I tip you anyway?" And she said, "Yes." The difference is I carry cash and Dal does not.
I don't, which is again why I gladly and always tip on the device if I'm offered the chance to do so, even at more like self-service sort of places, but because it just feels like a decent thing to do. I'm sure that people aren't paid super well, so I tip if I can.
I was at a Christmas party over the weekend, and a friend of mine had left early, and she forgot to close out her tab. So she texted me and said, "Can you get my card?" She said, "I left my card there." And I said, "Do you want me to get it?" And she said, "Yes, please." So I went to the bartender, Foss. I asked Foss if I could get her card, and he said, "Yes, but I need to see her tell me it's okay. Like, you can't just call her because I won't know it's her.
Right. It
So
could just be any person
I need to have a
saying,
video
yes, it's my card.
of her telling me you can take her card. So we tried to FaceTime her and she did not answer. And then I texted saying, hey, he needs to see your face as you say that I can have your card. So then she sent a selfie. Does this count? Does this work? No, you have to say that it's okay. So then she sent a
It's
video.
not proof of life. It's a different thing.
She sent a video rather than FaceTime. And there's no way we could hear her in the video, but she smartly held up her driver's license so he could see that that actually was the person.
And I'm sure by that point, Foss was so annoyed by this whole scenario that he was just looking for any reason to say, yes, you can take the card and use that.
But the point is, since I had to close out her tab on her card, when the tip option came up on the little device.
100%.
Well, it usually gives you 4 options.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, the highest option right there, 25%, bam, there you go. And I mean, her bill was $18, so big deal.
Yeah,
But
probably not the end
I
of the world.
definitely tipped the highest one. It's interesting to me how in tipping culture, which we are not, we're just straight up retail.
We could.
We
could put a tipping option on the checkout screen. I bet you we could.
Have it be 2 buttons, none or 50%. I have noticed how the tipping option keeps getting higher.
Yeah.
Do you remember when tipping 15% was considered a good tip?
Yeah, I felt like a real high roller when I would consistently tip 20%, and now it's like that is the second to worst option.
Yeah. It's like 18, 20, 22, 30.
Yeah. Well, the costs are going up for everybody.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in this episode for sure.
Indeed. For sure.
For sure.
For sure.
And once we dispense with it's not Christmas sales yet, which it normally, it hasn't been. And I harp on this all the time, but I've been in retail, comic book retail, for a very long time. And in the beginning, from right after Thanksgiving through December, you had a good month.
Right.
But now we have a good 5 days before Christmas.
Yeah, and one of the additional things that I noticed this week that was a little annoying was, so this week was a very large week of releases for comics and graphic novels.
Yeah, not presents.
Yeah,
just for regular customers.
Disgustingly large. And what we didn't see a lot of on this past Wednesday, the 18th, was a lot of our regular subscribers. And that's especially worrying for this past week, not just because it was a large week, which means, additional sales that we missed out on because people didn't come in to see what was on the New This Week shelves. The bigger problem is we're closed December 25th, and that's Christmas week, so we're probably not going to see a lot of our regulars. And then the following week is New Year's, and who knows how many people we'll see that week. So the people who didn't come in for their stuff on the 18th, we might not see until sometime in mid-January, and that is a long time.
And their bills are going to be huge.
Yeah. My only slight hope is that with the holidays, there may be people who would normally be too busy with work and other things that might somehow have a window of time where they can come get their books. I'm generally thinking of like 4 or 5 different subscribers that are not delinquent per se, but they are very much like
knocking on that door.
Yeah, and they're people who get a lot of books.
They're walking up to the front porch with the doorway of delinquency.
It is very noticeable to look in the boxes of subscribers and say, "Oh boy, that's a good 3 to 4 inches of books." It would be nice if someone came in and got. So hopefully that'll happen in December for some of those folks. Yeah, we'll see what happens the last few days of Christmas, whether or not we get a lot of that last minute traffic. I think we will. The weather doesn't seem like it's going to be working against us a whole lot, which is nice. Sometimes that can happen if there's like a really sudden snowstorm blizzard situation in the days before Christmas where people just sort of put a pin in whatever they've got and just go like, people are getting gift cards now. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Again, for me, the bigger problem this past week wasn't necessarily like the gift-giving traffic as, boy, we need people not to take all of December off from getting their subscriptions. That needs to kind of stop happening.
Right. So ideal situation is regulars come in like regular, and then we get additional sales.
Right.
One of the things that I've been doing a lot of this week is number crunching to keep it more fun. and just doing a lot of percentage comparisons and a lot of look back and a lot of this data this day and this data this day.
Sure. Which is sometimes hard to do when Shopify drastically changes how they do their reporting. We're going to call them dimensions now. So why would you do that?
It's so true.
Why would you call them dimensions
Monday,
now?
I go to do the weekly paperwork, and I go through the routine to get to the reports in Shopify like I always do. And analytics reports, and then, which station and what components you want to follow and what flags you turn off and what you turn on. And it's completely different. Mm-hmm. And it's bar graphs.
Yeah.
And it's horizontal bar graphs with all the information buried at the bottom.
Asinine.
Like, what is this? So I called out. I'm like, hey, have you happened to notice these changes? And while this is not your purview, you're like, yeah, actually, I had noticed it and had poked around in it just to see
where everything is. Not purview anymore, but it used to be. It used to be something I would do every Monday morning, I think.
Yeah.
And eventually it just became a thing where...
Eventually you tricked me to taking it over.
Well, I mean, not to digress too much, but usually the kind of weekly sales paperwork were a thing where I would go into Shopify and then kind of use that to generate a hard copy, like pen and ink on a piece of paper on our forms.
How archaic.
And then then Patrick would take the forms and put it into a spreadsheet and stuff. And eventually I just went,
why is there this middle step?
Yeah, the middle step was a carryover from pre-Shopify days when we would have like a physical printout from RMS, RMH, and we would have daily sales and we would have all these little daily Z strips, which even again predated that when it was just a register, when it was just a cash register that would print out a little like ink strip of how much you did in each category and what your taxes were. So you'd write everything down because there was not a database for it. But then eventually it reached a point where I just had to go, there is a database. We don't need to save this stuff in like a physical written down format because we can access that data whenever we want in any way we want.
And can I just say it has freed up so much space in the filing cabinets.
Yeah. I mean, especially when we weren't even printing out Z-strips anymore. It's like, why are we even writing this down? So it wasn't so much me saying like, hey, I don't want to do this job anymore, as it was me going,
I'm redundant. I'm an extra step.
Like, you have to wait for me to do it and then give it to you. You can just do it whenever you want. Not
whenever I want. After midnight. It has to be Monday.
It's true. But yeah, it used to be a thing where you would have to wait for me to do it at like 11 a.m. on a Monday morning. And then like I'd have to it'd be the first thing I'd have to do because I would then have to send it to you.
Because you'd be holding me up if you didn't.
Yeah, well, because I would have to like do it and then write it down and then put it into an Excel spreadsheet. And then I'd be able to say, okay, you can have access to the spreadsheet to do all the other things you need to do with it. It's like, well, you could just do that. You could just do everything I just did without me doing it.
So I don't fully understand what it does Sunday nights between us closing and midnight, but the numbers are vastly different. If you go in Sunday after we're closed and look at what the total is for the week, and then go back in after midnight, it's changed by up to $2,000.
That's interesting. I've never done that.
I did it just this last week.
That's super weird.
Man, because I'm like, oh, wow, this week is considerably worse than I thought it was. Huh. That's not great. And then by Monday, I'm like, oh no, it's okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think.
And that's without online sales coming in that time period.
Right, of course. I figured.
Which obviously that would be the huge indicator of, well, you sold $2,000 worth of stuff.
Love/hate a $2,000 online order between when we close Sunday night and when we open Monday morning.
What if it was just one $2,000 gift card?
I would be very worried about that, if I'm being perfectly honest. That would be a little concerning, depending on when that got cashed in and to what degree. Someone's going to have a really good sale, I guess. I don't know. What
I've noticed about the statistics from this month, this year to this point last year, for the first half of December, and I want to say that our October and November of 2024 have both been strong.
Great.
December, the first half of December through the 15th is down from last year.
Yeah.
And everything else had been pointing toward trending up.
Yeah, again,
and I didn't think it was going to be like this giant difference, but I thought it would be like, oh, maybe $2,000 higher.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem, and I wish I knew why, it definitely feels like there are, again, subscription stuff that is kind of going unpicked up. in a way that is a little bit higher than in the past. And it's not necessarily, I think we're going to get stuck with stuff. I think it's just something happened. And I don't know if it's the lateness of Thanksgiving made the beginning of the holiday season feel so much more stressful and so much more occupied that if Thanksgiving had been a week earlier, I think maybe people would have found more time in December to come get their stuff. But with so much Christmas stuff seeming to happen so quickly, I wonder if that just screwed with people's itineraries enough that they just couldn't get in.
See, that's an interesting philosophy, but to me, it felt like everybody jumped the gun and started Christmas before Thanksgiving this year. Definitely a lot of people in my personal life. I know I did a lot of things earlier because I was going to be losing a week to be in Ireland.
Right.
So I did things ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
And we always try to decorate the store on the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Sure.
I wasn't here for that.
Nope.
So I had you and Gina do a little bit of it, but then we really never got back to a full Christmas decorated store. And one of the first things your mom said when she visited last week was, "Where's your tree?
Where's the tree? We didn't have room for a tree this year. I'm sorry."
Well, we didn't, but we did. And I know where it would have gone had I been there to decorate it.
Well, you know where it'll go next year.
Right. But after I come back, I'm like, it's too late. I don't want to do it now.
No, of course not.
Also, I may have accidentally co-opted that tree for this year.
Whoops. Yeah, but anyway, getting back to the thing that you were saying before, as far as the weekly paperwork and reporting and stuff, while it's not something I would normally do, it's something I had done. So I had been poking around in the back end of Shopify for some other reason, and I had seen that everything was different, and I couldn't make heads or tails of it. And I thought, wow, this is so weird. I don't remember it looking like this at all. So either I've completely forgotten how to do this, which is possible, it's been a few months, or it changed at some point, and Patrick's never brought it up, so he must have figured out how to make sense of this. So I didn't even bring it up with you because it was like, well, you know what you're doing. And then it was like, oh no, they just did this. I was the first one to find it.
Yeah. And to be clear, I already had a solution in my head, but it was a longer solution, and you had a better workaround. Mine would have been extra steps, and yours worked in one with a minor tweak because we have separate Shopify accounts. And as the Shopify head person, you have more permissions than I do. There are categories and things I cannot get to because you've claimed the administration role.
Yeah, that is another problem I'm going to have to deal with probably after the holidays is as a result of all the different updates Shopify's done in this season, they have made bigger restrictions and allowances for different roles within the store.
We can have two administrators.
No, even the people who already have accounts, like you and Molly, might not have the right permissions anymore because they changed how everything works. So I think until, I don't know, April or something before they start doing stuff on their own. So I will have to go into all that administrator stuff and figure out all right, who has what? What am I supposed to be doing? How do I make sure everyone can keep doing what they're already doing without getting locked out of stuff? I really hate it.
Or can do even more stuff.
Yeah, I wish a lot of this stuff was communicated in a more straightforward way. I don't appreciate the seasonal dump from Shopify of here's everything we changed. And it's like, all right, man, some of this applies to me and some of this doesn't. And I don't I hate having to dig through it.
You'll know when it applies to you when you go to do something you used to do and you can't.
Yeah. Shopify just communicates that stuff. And I'm sure Brian Garside is nodding his head. Shopify is very bad at communicating this stuff to any of their partners, even the people who are paying them money every single month to use their platform. It's not great.
It's always a fun learning curve.
Always.
And there is a way to create a report and then save it and then hopefully go back into that report and just adjust the date range. But the first time I tried that, it reset all of the flags, which is basically just like starting from scratch anyway.
That sucks.
But the second time it didn't.
Okay.
So we'll see which one it actually is.
That's cool.
The same way that for inexplicable reasons, our Merry Christmas message on the transaction pad, that the customer-facing payment pad kept reverting back to Dogman
Okay.
on its own. After I would go in and save it, midway through the day, you're like, didn't you make one of these for this week? I'm like, yeah, I did. I set it up yesterday. Go in. No, it's still Dogman. Change it. All right. Watch it pop back to Dogman.
Oh no.
I just did this. And I don't know what eventually kept it.
I don't know. It's weird. Maybe it's just a bug.
Here's a stupid, unrelated thing that if I'm listening to BBC Sounds on my phone and I'm playing Solitaire on my phone, occasionally Solitaire will block the audio from other apps. So it turns off the radio. But if I go, or the Sounds app. So if I go back in BBC Sounds and hit play and then go back into Solitaire, it plays again. And sometimes that's enough. Sometimes I need to go back like 4 times. There's a point where Solitaire is like, fine, you can just have it. And it just lets the sound go.
Oh, nice. Very, very generous.
And I have to listen to these are the last 2 breakfast shows before Christmas.
Okay.
Well, not anymore. 1 more.
Okay.
Because the second to last one was today.
Sure.
They have the stars of the Gavin and Stacey on tomorrow morning because it's the final Gavin and Stacey episode ever. Oh, it even reaches you on these shores.
I read a little article about it, and I just thought, really? Gavin and Stacey? Whatever.
Well, I mean, I think they did a Christmas special last year or the year before. Then they hadn't done anything in forever. But now Rob Brydon is such an international sensation.
It's true.
It's huge. And James Corden has time.
That's too bad.
So, yeah, the Shopify update, super fun. Also super fun for the managed comics side because it whenever Shopify changes something, it manages to break something of theirs unexpectedly.
Yep.
And then they have to wait for a bunch of people to say, hey, this is broken. And then figure out why Shopify broke it. Or more importantly, how.
Yeah.
And then fix it.
It's a bummer.
That was my very detailed and thoughtful analysis of what had happened.
Yeah.
I believe you wanted to talk about other aspects of the comic book publishing industry.
Yeah. So, without making it too much of a point, we are still suffering under the yoke of Diamond Comic Distribution rehousing all of their stuff into one warehouse and how that's been delaying stuff. This week, we did not get our new This Week product from Diamond until Thursday, maybe. I didn't check the tracking. It was scheduled for Thursday, which means all of that stuff is just going to go on the shelves the following week, which is going to be December 26th.
Yep.
Because there's no sense trying to put it on very, very crowded shelves after the new release day has already passed. That's just asking for people to not see that stuff or buy it.
When we got last week's stuff, early in the day, Wednesday. So that made it to the shelves, but the people that come first thing Wednesday morning, where we're the busiest on a Wednesday,
had already missed it.
Did not get a chance to see it. So we made sure to leave it on the shelves this week for them.
But that Diamond Comic Distribution situation was a topic within this week's Tilting at Windmills from Brian Hibbs at Comics Beat. And specifically, Brian spends the second chunk of his article talking about kind of what it would mean for Diamond to not be around, because he brings up not only the Olive Branch, Plattsburgh situation as far as the warehouses becoming one consolidated warehouse, but also the Hachette thing that I don't know if we talked about on the podcast, but has now kind of broken containment and is now thing people are actually talking about, which is the rumor, I guess, never specifically stated by Diamond, that they had lost access to their Hachette account due to late payment for up to 6 months. And they are only now getting things right, which means anything that you had ordered from Diamond from Abrams, Yen Press, or Self-Made Hero did not ship out and just never seemed to come out. And Diamond recently started doing re-FOCing all of that stuff for January release.
We had, right before the re-FOCing, started to go through and figuring out everything that was supposed to come out from Diamond that we had ordered that had not come out, but we knew was out. Books that were released to the general public through other channels, other distributors, available in bookstores now. We went back in and found a lot, not everything, but many, of the books that we had ordered, and I'd sent a request to Diamond saying, we want to cancel all these.
Yeah, we do our initial orders for Abrams, Yen Press, Self-Made Hero through Diamond, and then we do reorders through Hachette, which handles distribution for them in the book chain. Because the Diamond stuff was super delayed and we were seeing it had been released sometimes months earlier in the book channel, we reached out to Diamond and said, cancel our orders. We're going to get them from somebody else. And we reached out to Hachette to basically change our terms such that we could start doing initial orders through Hachette rather than just doing reorders. So we just got in this past week.
Well, before you get into that, I do want to say that canceling our orders from Diamond is not a thing that you're normally allowed to do. And that you made a point of saying, you can't do this. We'll let you do it this time.
Right.
But once you place an order with us, that's it.
Right.
Which is, I get it. It's the same way we are with people, because you place an order with us, we order that book for you. Diamond ordered those books for us.
But in this instance, it seems sort of unfair because it's like, okay, but you had told me it was going to be coming out in this state, and it is out. You're just not getting it. And worse, you're not communicating that to me. I have to go onto your site and find out.
We have to find out through other
sources. It was
sources.
scheduled for October, and it's still not shipping out. And I don't know why it's not. And you're not giving me any updates.
And it's even a moot point that they said you can cancel this because they let us re-FOC everything.
Yeah, like a week later, everybody got to FOC stuff, and we just canceled everything out.
Now, I don't know if that's because stores like Brian Hibbs and Comics Experience and us were like, hey.
I think enough stores were complaining because once more people knew about it, and depending on what you stock for your store, for us, we get a lot of manga, we get a lot of Abrams stuff, younger readers and other stuff. So it was starting to become untenable that we did not have new product. Like, if we can source it from someone else, we're going to want to do that because the longer we wait, A, the more insistent some of our subscribers are going to get, and B, the less likelihood we have a chance to sell this stuff because people might find it somewhere else that doesn't get it from Diamond. So we placed our orders with Hachette to get all the stuff that we had canceled our orders from Diamond, and that meant that we got 2 months worth of Abrams and Yen Press stuff in this past week, which was already a massive week. It was a lot of stuff. But anyway, so the second half of the Brian Hibbs column, he's talking about Diamond, and he's talking about the warehouses, he's talking about the Hachette stuff, but he's sort of just generally talking about the idea that, what it would mean to the market if Diamond wasn't around. And I realized reading it, he was kind of making good points. And it's, generally that Diamond carries a lot of publishers that Lunar either can't or Penguin Random House won't. So there's a diversity of material that would certainly not be available. And that's not even counting all of the non-comics material that Diamond carries that, again, Lunar doesn't and PRH doesn't. And, I realized as I'm reading this that there's kind of two things. There's what's bad, and then what's bad for me. Like, the things he's talking about are bad. Like, publishers not having as much access to the market, creators potentially being out of work because of it, stores that get all their stuff from Diamond suddenly having to deal with different terms, the fact that Diamond would frequently let stores a little bit more slack financially, that then, places like Lunar and Penguin Random House will not do that. But then I thought about, what's bad for me? And honestly, it's not, Diamond going away isn't that bad for me. We have talked a lot about all the different vendors we get stuff through and how quickly when Diamond suddenly became unavailable to give us Abrams, Yen, Self-Made Hero, we just went to somebody else and got it from them in potentially better terms. I think maybe a better discount for some of it.
And Boom Studios is moving to Penguin Random House in July of next year.
Yeah.
So that is 100% where we will be getting our Boom Studios product.
Yeah, the exclusive stuff we would lose would be Dynamite and Distillery, and I think both of them would probably land someplace else without too much trouble.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that, Lunar would say absolutely not to Dynamite. If that were the case, I feel like Dynamite has enough volume where it's probably fine for them. Distillery has been at other people before, so if they didn't burn those bridges, they could probably go back.
There has been some retailer concern as to PRH and Lunar being able to handle this massive influx of new accounts for all the people who are now suddenly switching to them because of Diamond's shipping issues with this, which I understand why they would want to switch. And I assumed everybody would have switched in the beginning like we did.
Right.
But if you're just switching now, all you're doing is hurting them, because after this situation gets ironed out, things should be smoother than they have been in a while for Diamond. And I don't even mean the short, because everything is consolidated under one roof. So I assume replenishments go out faster, and new issues would be normal. But
the last few weeks have been so chaotic with Diamond that it's honestly hard for me to even hypothesize about what a good version of this would look like. Like, what could the benefits be? At this point, it's like getting this stuff before Wednesday. That would be great. Beyond that, I don't know.
As we usually do on social media on Tuesday nights, along with Dal's video of an in-depth, detailed description of every book that's come out.
I keep trying to make them shorter, and then I get to the end, and I'm like, it's 7 minutes. This was the fast one.
There's still...
Oh, my God.
Just the photos of the new
release. I'm so sorry.
And it takes so long to download.
I'm so sorry.
Cloud. Well, I'm sorry for you, because I know you don't like doing them.
I assume nobody watches them because they're 7 minutes long, right?
Yeah, I mean, we get statistics, but I don't know. I assume that there's a threshold of time that counts as a view, and it's not 100% of the video.
Okay.
I don't know if it's like 30 seconds or more counts as a view.
Oh, man.
But I mean, no, people do watch and people do respond, and they are valuable and they are worthwhile. And I'm glad you still do them, and I'm sad that I don't, and it's because I don't work Tuesdays anymore. Mm-hmm. And it would be too much extra effort for me to say, hey, bring these books to a drop point that I could pick up from you.
Which I would be willing to do. Like, it's not, I offered that back in the early transition phase of, like, when I was just the only one there on Tuesdays and you weren't able to be at the store. And I thought you seemed into it, but then you were like, no, I'll just do it the next day. And then you just didn't want to do it anymore. So it's like, I am more than happy to facilitate you doing your version or the version of this on Tuesday nights.
My goal was to do them Wednesday mornings, but too often I'll get in early on a Wednesday morning only to find the
smoke alarm going off.
And it necessitates getting the big ladder up and then me barely reaching it because of how short I am. And then not, it's not just this thing of, you can place battery. You have to take it down because I can't do it while it's on the ceiling. And then replacing the battery, then reconnecting it while I'm precariously balanced 2 steps away from the top of the ladder. And then trying to screw it back into its base on the ceiling.
Wow.
And then only to, first of all, I couldn't even get the stupid battery compartment open. So I had to go, first the ladder was positioned wrong. Then I had to go back down, reposition it, go back up. Couldn't open the thing, so I'd take the whole smoke detector off. Then I almost started hitting it with a hammer to get it to open. And
then the fire department.
And once I got it open, I realized I'm not closing it. It's hopefully next time this battery goes out, I can just replace it from the ladder. Only to have it immediately start squeaking at me again when I started to come down the ladder. I don't know if you heard me say, "Come on!"
I did.
But it stopped. So, but that took up way more time than making a video would have.
That's true.
And it also, I didn't help you with any of the online orders.
It's fine.
Because I was doing that.
Sure. I think what you're doing is valuable.
Yeah, but it was unexpected. And my point is there's always something unexpected.
There kind of is.
On a Wednesday morning, which takes me away from the video.
It's so weird to think that nowadays when we get in on Wednesdays, we get in at like half an hour before the store opens, when it used to be like we'd get in like 5 minutes before and just turn the key and you're done and you're ready to go. And now it's like every Wednesday morning there is so much more stuff to do right when we get in that we can't get in that late anymore.
And when you leave it on Tuesday nights, it's turnkey ready.
Yeah. It's just stuff happens overnight, either online sales or emails we get or stuff that happens that we weren't expecting.
When I came back from the airport a couple Tuesday nights ago, I came straight to the store with the goal of doing a video for Wednesday while I was there. Mm-hmm. And then I sat down and started doing all the paperwork that I missed and trying to catch up on stuff while I was at the store. By the end of it, I'm like, no, I'm just going.
Sure.
Not going to do
Maybe this can be a New Year's resolution. You'll start doing Tuesday night videos somehow.
Well,
somehow.
Look, here's one of the real reasons I don't do them on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
There are some Tuesdays that I do not bother with making myself
personal grooming,
presentable,
personal grooming
for videos. So to have to go out and get the books from you,
and
then
to adhere the beard that is completely fake to your face.
Yeah. I just like being invisible in public, like putting on the bald cap and putting on the gray-haired wig on top of it.
Sure.
I do like walking around comic conventions and no one knows who I am because I'm in my actual where I'm 4 inches taller.
Oh, I thought it's because you usually dress like a stormtrooper.
Snowtrooper.
Whichever.
I just want you to get it right.
You know I don't know anything about Star Trek.
That's fair.
But yeah.
So yeah, maybe, but I also, one video from me and one video from you doubles my Tuesday night social media.
It really does.
And they each need to go on 4 platforms. And I'm not telling you to do anything different. Yours now take so much of my time that doing 4 more, I don't want to.
Sure. I could try and figure out a way to do them much shorter.
You've changed your whole aesthetic. You used to just point out new number 1s, but now you point out everything, which is great.
Is it?
Sure.
Is it great?
I mean, for people.
Okay. Is it?
Why don't you ask them? You're not going to believe me, whatever I say. So the general public will tell you if they enjoy your videos.
I don't even care if they enjoy them. I care if they're useful.
I mean,
you don't have to enjoy them.
If they enjoy them, they're useful.
Okay. No, useful means they buy something.
Okay, so I need everyone listening to this to call Dow's personal cell phone at 630-95 and tell him that if you like his videos. If you don't like his videos, don't call. You don't have to call him and tell him you don't like them. That doesn't help anybody.
No, I'd be okay with that.
Okay, fine. Then call the store on a Sunday. That's 773-278-0155.
Mm-hmm.
Ask for Walter.
Uh-huh.
There's no Walter.
Definitely call on a Sunday where I'm not incredibly busy from wall to wall.
When do you want him to call?
Because there's something going wrong in the store and some weird thing that I have to suddenly deal with.
In that case, there's no day for people to call.
Hey, that's funny how that works out. So the thing
Thursdays.
The thing that Hibbs was getting at that I thought was interesting, again, was just the idea that like it would be bad for the industry if Diamond went away. And I thought more about how would it affect challengers specifically. Because like I don't want people to lose their jobs. I don't want people at Diamond to lose their jobs.
No.
I don't want publishers to find themselves less financially stable. I don't want creators to be out of work because of that. I don't want stores to take a hit because of it. So yeah, all things being equal, I hope Diamond sticks around and no one is disadvantaged because of it. But if the worst happens, like we could comic wise, I mean, even if stuff like Dynamite and Distillery went away, I don't know that I'd care a whole lot personally. Like, I don't know that either of those publishers is such a huge part of our bottom line that we would be unable to stay afloat because of it. And a lot of the toys and stuff that we carry, I don't know if that's our identity as a store. Our margins aren't great on any of that stuff. They come in super irregularly. Sometimes whole waves of toys that we order, we just never get in.
Yeah.
Frequently we get too much crap at one time. So we go, it's feast or famine where we don't get pops for like a month and then we get 25 pops in 2 weeks.
3 months worth of pops.
They don't sell because they're just all coming in at once. So like all of that going away. Yeah. I mean, I like being able to offer that stuff sometimes and I've certainly ordered stuff myself, but if it did have to go away, I think I'd probably find myself being okay because of it and the store being okay because of it. So
I did really enjoy, for the record, your mom just going off on how stupid pop vinyls are.
She really doesn't like them.
To me, who has
You got a whole bunch.
display case full of them.
Yeah, and at one point I had to tell her, like, she's really complaining about them. I'm like, yeah, well, we need people to like them because we sell a whole bunch of them. So I need them to not think they're stupid. But good for her. The pop stuff is always interesting to me because there's people who just adore them. Maybe less so now that they've been like such a part of pop culture for so long. But there was a kind of like early period of pops where people were just ravenous for them.
Sure.
And then there was this kind of backlash where people are like, I hate them. I don't want them in my house. And now it's kind of normalized just into a like, I don't know. I get some of them. Like it never did the Beanie Baby thing of like completely burning out.
Yeah.
But I definitely think people are less
enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic is a good way to put it. Yeah. Like I rarely see people buying like an armful of them or the brand new ones. It's like people come in occasionally, especially this time of year. They get a couple. That's about it, you know?
Selling a Justin Fields a couple weeks ago was like, oh my
Justin
God.
Fields this last Sunday.
Yeah.
I almost wanted to tell the guy, like, did you mean to get the Dick Butkus or like the Mike Singletary? Did you want the Justin Fields?
Are you going to just paint this into a Pittsburgh outfit?
I mean, he was a Chicago Bear for 3 years.
Sure.
Maybe he got like a Hall of Fame. He wouldn't go in it, but maybe he could watch the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but I'm very surprised that none of the Christmas books that I gave there on Section 2 did anything this year. We still have some of those Funko Pop Advent calendars.
Oh my God.
Which I think are great. I think they're really cool. I think they're a fun thing.
It's just the wrong
I
country
bought them for
man.
myself.
I don't think people in America care as much about Advent calendars.
You're wrong. A lot of people do.
Okay.
This year, for a fact, I know Gina got 2 different Lilo and Stitch Advent calendars.
Really?
Yeah.
One animated movie, one upcoming live action movie?
Is there a live action movie coming?
There's their live action movie coming out.
No.
The guy who's directing is the guy who did Marcel the Shell with whatever.
Oh. Well, that's
I don't remember
adorable.
how the rest of that title goes.
Yeah, Advent calendars are a thing.
Okay. I mean, I know they're a thing.
I mean,
I hear about the Aldi ones
It all
all the
depends.
time.
Yeah, the Aldi ones are great. It all depends on if they were a thing when you grew up or not. Like
Yeah, we've talked
Christmas
about that.
cards
For me, they weren't
are a thing or they're not a thing.
Yeah, it's true.
Like letters, family letters of here's what everyone did this last year are a thing or they're not a thing.
Speaking of Christmas cards, subscribers, if you're listening to this and you have not come in yet since Thanksgiving to get your subscription stuff, you've only got a few days to come to get your subscription stuff and get your holiday card. Those holiday cards do not stick around in the boxes forever. They will get taken out at some point.
Yeah, and the point is by January 1st.
Yep.
Or on January 1st. We give people December.
I mean, it'll probably be on January 1st because it'll be a Wednesday and I'll have time.
Yeah.
Why not?
But this year you had...
And then we're going to count them up, and then I'm going to tell you how many people did not come in for their cards. And you are going to do a big, deep, bone-weary sigh, thinking about how
I'm going to write down my prediction right now.
Thinking about how much money we wasted on cards for people that never came in for them.
Okay. We have more subscribers this year then. I'm going to say...
I'll say my number.
No, just write it down.
Oh, I mean 3 less than that.
Okay.
I was just rounding to a number.
Okay. I was going to go slightly down from yours.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll see.
Which
These
is
are
still
now
what,
committed.
which is what I would still consider an incredibly high number of people,
absolutely.
of subscribers that did not come in for an entire month.
But historically, we've had more and we've had less.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's trending higher this month, this year.
Again, like going back to what I said earlier in this episode, the amount of people that I'm looking at in the boxes where I'm like, this is getting to be a pretty thick stack of books is weird. And it's difficult for us as a store to communicate that to people because 1, everyone's so busy, 2, no one reads their emails, and 3, a lot of the processes that we would normally have to deal with delinquent subscribers, we usually put on hold for the month of December because people are just, I don't want to add more stress to them. I'd rather just come at this in January and be like, hi, you didn't come in for your books for a month. But like, it is a financial issue for us where, you know, people don't come in for 6 weeks, and that's 6 weeks of books that are piling up, that are not getting paid for, that are not being invoiced.
That we've already been billed for.
Yeah, I mean, there may be a point, we've talked about this ad nauseum this year, but it does come up in my brain from time to time that we may re-examine how we look at how we invoice subscribers going forward in 2025. This is not something you and I have really sat down and talked about, and this is something I'm probably just going to bring up now to kind of share my thoughts on it more than I am, you know, laying down the law. But my thought on what would maybe be the next step to try and normalize how we get our subscription books paid for in a timely manner is basically doing invoicing on Tuesday nights, and you have until the next Tuesday to pay that invoice.
And then what happens if you don't?
Books go out, account gets closed. Like, when I pre-order stuff at a place like AmiAmi, or, yeah, AmiAmi is the one I'll use, I don't pay in advance. I pay when it comes in. But when it comes in, they invoice me, and I have a week to pay that invoice.
Yeah.
And if I don't pay that invoice, they put that stuff back out.
I'm not arguing with you,
right,
but you do not have a standing, virtually weekly subscription with them.
No, but if I did, they'd probably be more insistent about it.
Sure. I'm just saying that it's obviously it should not be a financial burden to anyone who's getting their books, because then they shouldn't be getting their books.
Right. Like, you don't have to come in every week for them, but I think us saying, hi, this is what came in for you, pay this, is not unreasonable.
It is not. I know there are a lot of stores that do that very thing.
Yeah. Like, I'm not saying this is happening tomorrow, but it's definitely like, as this goes on and becomes more of a recurring problem, and this is maybe crucial to me, the mechanisms that we would use to kind of get that on track fundamentally don't work. Notifying people about what's come in because they don't read their emails. It becomes incumbent upon us to make it more formalized of, this is things come in for you and you pay for them, is kind of how the rest of the world works. And so it doesn't feel punitive to say, when this stuff comes in, we're going to invoice you. You pay it online whenever you want, and then you come get your books. None of this feels super complicated or unusual.
Nope.
But yeah, it's certainly, as we deal with this same problem every year, it's like, well, maybe we should figure out a way for this not to be a problem every year. You know?
Yeah.
Get people used to the idea of, when things come in, you pay for them, instead of, we have to hassle you every 7 or 8 weeks.
So hypothetically,
to come get your stuff.
What about you invoice people? What about people that just come in Wednesday and just say, can I pay here?
I think we can do that. There's a thing that happens. So, like, let's say you're a subscriber.
I'm a subscriber. I am actually a subscriber.
And we invoice you through Managed Comics, and then more stuff comes in for you.
Yeah.
You essentially have 2 orders. Then you have a draft order through Shopify, and you have a Managed Comics customer order. When you go into POS and you go to the Managed Comics order helper, and I bring up your name, there will be 2 different line items. One for the draft order and one for your customer order. The thing I need to talk to Brian about, and by which I mean I need Brian to listen to this and tell me how this works. When you take an order from Managed Comics and turn it into a draft order, you're doing all of the background inventory adjustment stuff.
Yeah.
You're moving something from unavailable to available. When you bring something from the order helper into the cart in POS, you're doing the same function, moving something from unavailable to available. So my question is, and I don't know how this would work, if I've moved something from customer order to a draft order and moved quantities from unavailable to available, but then I bring that order from the draft order into point of sale, is it doing the same process again, or has it already done it? If it does the same process again, I can't bring it into POS because then it's screwing up our inventory. But if it's already done it and it is literally just putting that order into the cart, we're good to go. And so, yeah, I could invoice you, and then you could come in on Wednesday and just pay for your stuff at the counter. No big deal.
And that invoice closes out automatically. It doesn't stay as something we have to close out on our own.
Yeah. So if that's how it works, yes, we're fine. If it doesn't, there's another way probably to do it, but I'd have to investigate it a little bit more.
Yeah, there's why don't you just pay for it on your phone right now?
Yeah.
While you're here in the store.
Yeah.
And then we'll move forward.
But no,
not ideal.
Yeah, there's other stuff we want to do in 2025 that we'll probably have to address with customers first. And so this is something where could be a down the line thing. It depends on how much of an issue this continues to be. And again, like, one of the things that I think about is like, well, it's kind of, it seems mean to do for the people who are not a problem, but then it's like, well, the people who aren't a problem still wouldn't be a problem.
Right.
Like, the only people this is affecting are the people who don't want to pay for their stuff when it comes in. And it's like, why not? Why don't you want to? How is this working for me as a store for you to be like, yeah, but I don't want to pay for it right now? Like, okay, well, you wanted to order it. You don't want to pay for it.
Somebody says, can you send me an invoice for my books? And then doesn't pay it for 2 weeks.
That is frustrating. So yeah, and I'm going to have to send out an email to certain subscribers in the coming week to say, hi, on December 31st, we are receiving the Marvel DC Amalgam Omnibus. You are getting invoiced for it. And when you get invoiced for it, you have this duration of time to pay for it, or we are selling it to the next person in line. Because we are going to, once again, much like Marvel versus DC, probably sell out of whatever copies we have on the shelf very quickly, and they will not be available in the supply chain afterwards. So we will have people who will want to buy one, and I would rather sell it to them if they're going to give me the money right now
And there
than
was
have to hassle somebody to pay for the one that they pre-ordered.
there was a distributor error that caused us to receive 3 more of the regular Marvel vs. DC Omnibus than we planned on getting, and it still wasn't enough.
No.
And that was with pre-orders being open for close to 6 months for that book?
Yeah, and we reordered extra copies the day of release from Penguin Random House, and they never filled. So yeah, I don't have any hope that Amalgam ones are going to be available in January if anybody does want one. So yeah, I
didn't order one, Dal, so you don't have to worry about me not paying.
I ordered one.
I know.
I'm excited to read it.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be unwrapped immediately.
Probably not. Here's the dumbest thing. So I have a subscription to Marvel Digital Unlimited, Marvel Comics Unlimited, I think they call it. Mostly to read its Jeff issues, but also to read other stuff. Sometimes I just read old comics on the train. You know what I'm reading right now?
Quasar.
No, I already did a Quasar.
Oh, can I have a hint?
That's all in the past.
Can I have a hint so I can guess? Is it something you've already read in a rereading or something new?
So it's something that
and Descent to Daredevil.
It's some of those, but not right now.
Okay.
It's honestly something I'd never read all of, but I'd read certain issues of here and there. It's your favorite character, but probably not one of your favorite eras.
Okay. So is it the Ron Lim Captain Americas?
Not even at that point. It's specifically the Mark Grunwald.
Dave Hoover?
No, it's not even Dave Hoover.
Paul Neary?
Can I finish? Karen Dwyer and Tom Morgan.
Okay.
The Captain stuff.
Okay. Neat.
Because I'd read issues of that here and there. But anyway, so one of the
Mark Grunwald had a groundbreaking run on that character only because it was like 12 years long.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't actually 12 years, but he had that character for a very long period of time.
But what led me to start reading that was I was reading some of the What Ifs on Digital Unlimited, Marvel Comics Unlimited, that had been put up because they were in the What If Omnibus. They digitized all that. I bought the What If Omnibus Volume 2. I have not unwrapped it. I keep going to Marvel Unlimited to see if they put up those issues into their database yet. They have not.
Is this on your phone or on your iPad?
I read it on my phone because Marvel Comics, the vintage that I'm reading, are perfectly legible on the phone because it's big, blocky panels. And stuff.
I just didn't know if
I should read
the iPad is too cumbersome to pull out on a train, or
for me it is. Yeah.
Also, too much of a hey, rob me.
No, although I mean I do think about that sometimes, but the phone's just easier because I can usually tab between different applications. So I can read a little bit of the comic, but then be like, let me check the news, let me check an email, let me get on Discord, let me blah blah blah. But yeah, it's so dumb that I bought this gigantic What If Omnibus, and instead of reading the comics in there, I keep daily checking to see if they're on this thing I'm also paying for. Pretty dumb.
I mean, it's no different than me constantly pulling up Taskmaster episodes on YouTube when A, I have them all digitally.
Mm-hmm.
B, I subscribe to Taskmaster Supermax Plus and can get them all that way.
The Taskmaster from prison?
Yeah, exactly. Here's the task you must do to get out of solitary confinement.
It's just Prison Break. It's just the show Prison Break.
Yeah, but you never actually get out.
Prison Break they got out a few times. One time they broke in.
They can't let you out.
What?
Also, 2025 is going to see other changes with the way things are done business-wise in Challengers for reasons. One reason is the new city budget that was just passed has a whole bunch of fee raises and fee changes, and the one that impacts you personally, listener, shopper.
Assuming you shop at the store.
Yeah. The Chicago bag tax gets raised on January 1st, and it is going from 7 cents to 10 cents.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going up by 3 cents, your cost, but they're getting an extra 4 cents per bag on their end.
Yeah.
Because one of the dumbest things about the bag tax is that it was a 7-cent tax per bag that we legally have to charge, but we were only ever giving the city 5 cents. Yeah. We had to keep 2 cents.
For administrative
and we
fees.
could not just charge you 5 cents.
Nope.
We had to charge you the full 7.
Yep.
So this time, we have to charge you 10, but give the city 9.
Mm-hmm.
So we keep 1 penny of every bag.
Hooray.
So if you If you have older bags that you've gotten from us, start using those. If you have tote bags,
Like the I Love You But I've Chosen Comics tote bag that we have available for purchase. It's a sturdy red tote bag with a gorgeous image on the front.
I myself carried a Gaelic bag all around the city of Dublin that said "Big Bag of Books" that I was given at a bookstore, and I have a ton of tote bags. Dal and I collectively had a bunch of tote bags that we brought into the store and had on a hook outside the back door. So when anybody had too much stuff to fit into normal bags, we would just give them a tote bag that we had and didn't need.
Right.
But we've kind of blown through all of our tote bags. Now all we have are some of the pulled drawstring bags, which are nowhere near as...
The one that I've used a few times to tote stuff home is the Unico Scholastic Graphics bag.
Yeah.
Which I like a lot.
Sure.
It's got Unico on it.
Yeah, and you got one from the Kickstarter.
I did. No, it wasn't from the Kickstarter. That was... Scholastic sent us that.
Oh, okay. I have a couple Alzheimer's bags, this Big Bag of Books one. In my trunk, I have one from the old regime at Oni because it is my record bag. It's perfect size for vinyl. So that's what I bring to record stores. But anyway, we would rather not have you have to give the city $5 over the span of the year if you come in weekly and get a bag.
Yeah.
And we know that the altruism of let's save the planet and go for plastic is not why they were doing this.
No.
So
city broke.
Yeah. Yeah, and they expect to get, from what I read from the budget proposals, $5 million more a year from this 4-cent increase.
That is for sure a number that somebody put in a proposal.
That's true. That's true.
More than that, I can't really say.
So yeah, anyway, as of January 1st, and there will be signs up in the store that say that. You're not going to see them. They're already up now. They're invisible for the most part. There'll be just 2 of them, but the bag tax does change on January 1st to 10 cents a bag.
Yep.
And that is one change. Another change directly impacts the upcoming I Love You But I've Chosen comics sale.
Yep.
The sale that runs every February 7th through 13th, where you're 25% off of almost everything in the store, not counting your subscription books, held items, consignment items, gift cards, or anything marked new this week.
Yep.
The change is in the t-shirt qualification. You get a free t-shirt, this year's shirt, or next year's shirt, I should say, designed by Andrea Bell. And you need to spend $125 before tax, after discount, to get the shirt.
To qualify for a free shirt.
It used to be $100. It's going up. Costs have gone up everywhere. Yeah. The shirts cost more than ever before.
We've been doing a sale for like 16 years, and this is the time we had to raise it because it's just the material costs and, general costs of doing business have risen to a point where $100 is kind of not enough to cover this process any longer. Like we have to raise it to $125.
The things that we do every year at no cost to the customer, like the bookmarks or the Christmas cards, just looking at how much those printing costs have gone up.
Yeah.
I think I was showing you the last, hey, look at this bookmark order versus that bookmark order, where it's the exact same quantity, the same paper stock, the same everything. But look, it's now $40 more per 2,000.
And this stuff adds up, and we hate to do it, but again, it has been well over a decade that we've kept things exactly the same, and we have to raise them. We just have to.
Yeah. Do you remember that we kept our bags and boards for a quarter for well over 12 years?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it sucks to do this stuff, and we take it very personally when we have to do it. But the reality of the situation is that these things start costing us more money, and it becomes very difficult. We are a small business, and we are a struggling small business. So we look at these things, and when we raise prices, when we have to do stuff like that, when we raise the threshold for something, it is assume it is because we don't have any other choice.
And we hate it, but we also know you understand.
Yeah.
You're not alone in this. I'm sure costs are going up everywhere else in your life.
Sure.
They are in our life.
Yep.
I'm sure if you look at your energy bill expenditures from this point last year to this point this year, it's different.
Yeah.
I mean, every point gas is frequently over $5 a gallon,
Yep.
especially in the city. And since I'm not going to the suburbs to visit my dad all the time anymore, it's like, oh, I can't just hit up those gas stations in the suburbs where they're literally $1 cheaper per gallon.
No.
Things like that. So, I mean, it's happening everywhere, and we hate that it's happening with us as well.
Yeah. And we're sorry for it, but this is what we have to do.
And it looks like there'll be some more changes in that regard moving forward, but they will always be done
as conscientiously as possible.
Yeah.
As humanely as possible.
I was thinking of a good way to say that, and you just did.
Thanks. That's
So
what I'm here for.
good work. You're very conscientious, and if I may say, humane.
I always appreciate hearing that.
You're welcome. All right, so we said there was going to be nothing really Christmassy about this episode. However, even though it's not Christmas yet, Dal, I think that you and I should each exchange one gift.
Okay. I've got this. It's a pretty big box. I'm going to push it over
Oh, wait,
towards where you are.
This is for me?
Yeah.
Let me, hold on,
Okay.
let me get it.
Golly.
Do you want me to just... There's no tag. Is it for me for sure?
Yeah, no, oh my God. Yeah, I'm not going to forget which gigantic box this is.
All right, I'm going to open it.
Okay. Yeah, just really get into it. I mean,
Right.
I used very heavy paper.
Oh, man, I got to... All right, let me try to... I don't have a knife, so I'm just going to open this up. Oh, man, there's... It's full of bricks.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, I see all the way down there, and it's a... Wait. Is this the blind box Power Ranger that you got? I'm sorry, Kamen Rider? I don't mean Power Ranger. I apologize. That you got
Merry
two
Christmas, Jesus.
You got two of? Is this that?
No, it's the one I got 3 of. I'm going to keep at least 2.
No, it's O's.
Yeah.
This is O's. This is...
Merry Christmas!
Thank.
All right, where's mine?
Oh, it's just this little envelope right here.
Okay. All right.
Here you go.
Oh, it's not very much. Let me just tear this open real quick.
It's not full of bricks, that's for sure.
Said, is there like the card inside? It's like was it a business card?
Yeah.
It says Big Bang Comics, Patrick Brower, store manager. Patrick?
I felt like you've always wanted to have more time alone at the store.
Patrick, this is a very long phone number on this card.
In fact,
this is not a Chicago area code.
Did you not just yesterday tell someone that your preference would be to work by yourself every single day we're open?
All right.
This
is a very nice business card, I gotta say.
Well, yeah, it's a very nice store. It's also full of toys. Congratulations to me.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. No doubt I'm not going to work at Big Bang.
Oh.
I'm sending you there.
I love plane rides.
Yeah. It basically you're flying there and back every day.
Oh, every day.
Yeah.
Can that even work every day? How time zones work?
Yeah, because one day you go back in time.
Am I ever getting off the plane?
Do you want to?
Yes. Very badly.
This bit was terrible.
Yeah, you can cut it.
Yeah. No, I'm going to leave it in. Here's what I said to Dal. I said, hey, Dal, at the end of this episode, let's each pretend to open a present from the other person and just make up what it is. And as I said it, I had no idea what I was going to say mine was.
Which you also, let me also mention that when you were describing this to me, you said, I don't have any idea how this ends, but, which was always a great thing to hear about like a skit.
Sure.
I don't know where this is going or what the punchline is. However,
I realized I handicapped you by saying your gift was an envelope.
No, I already knew what it was going to be.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But that's a present for me. I get to go live in Dublin.
Yeah, it seems like a terrible gift. We each gave each other terrible gifts. That was how it worked.
Wait, we each gave the person something that... Wait, no, I was going to say we wanted, but no. Yeah. Even as I was opening yours, I had no idea what it was going to be. Which is why I said Power Ranger instead of Kamen Rider.
That's okay. Everyone does it.
I was joking with a club member, and he was asking me a question about something not related to Challengers, what we sell.
Mm-hmm.
But I just jokingly said, "It's like you don't even read my blog anymore." And he said, "I only read Dal's." And I said, "You pejorative common writer people always stick together, don't you?"
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Until this very second, seeing it written out, I thought it was COMMON writer."
Okay. That's fine too.
Yeah. Anyway, Merry Christmas to you, kind, dear listener. Thanks for shopping with us this holiday season.
Yeah.
Thanks for just listening to this podcast. Thanks for being a part of Challengers for this year. And I'll probably say more of that shit next week. So thanks for listening now.
And keep reading comics. Merry Christmas.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. And help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.